welcome everyone on this gloomy day. It's supposed to be the nicest day of the week, though. So
we've got to enjoy what we have. Something that aged.
I would like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the April meeting. Richard and Tracy. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So carried.
Looking around for my staff. I know several are going to be
You have lots to report on, lady.
I see Bonnie running. Okay.
Okay, we'll start with
I'll
President.
start. Yeah, thank you. Because I do want Bonnie to give you an update on capital projects and Wendy to do the budget. So we'll see where that happens. Since we last met, it's been, as you can imagine, busy. I do want, there's Sue, okay. Hi, Sue. I do want to report out how the crisis team helped get us through a very sad time with the car crash of our 19-year-old student. The team was in all weekend, including Sue was helping lead the charge with me. So Saturday we were here and all day Sunday dealing with all the issues. But just to say that it's funny because we had just done a tabletop exercise a week and a half prior. We do these tabletop exercises to make sure how we respond to crises. And it was the only humorous thing about it was that Frank Lawrence put us through it and said that he pretended to be at the Cape. Well, during this car crash, Frank was at the Cape, which is very interesting. But it went as well. You should be very proud of the community. We put point people on each of the students. It wasn't one thing in terms of the young man who was killed, but we have, 5 other victims, if you will. Sue and I were there when they got off the van, and we gave a point person to each student and walking it through. It's very complicated. Still ongoing, right, Sue? I mean, There's still a lot going on, whether or not to help them through, how to get them through, so just know that behind the scenes, it's a lot of work, and we're doing, I think, as well as we can for all of them. Sue, you want to add anything else to that?
No, I think that Anne and her staff really were phenomenal.
Yeah.
The Wellness Center
Yeah.
was just on hand for everything.
That's
They
right.
couldn't have done more, so
Yeah.
they were great.
So, and even the way the communication was handled. So it went like a well-oiled machine, and thank God. The other good news is, thank God, there was no drug or alcohol involved. And there wasn't. So it was just an unfortunate situation. I have, since we met, I've been named to the Mohawk Valley Economic, the REDC, the Regional Economic Development Council, and my first meeting was yesterday. There are about 22 members now on that. That's going to be a very, very critical organization for the college. I help craft where the money will be used, what's going on with the development in the region. And there are 3 colleges represented on that council, so 2 SUNYs and Utica College. So I think that's going to be a very fruitful partnership for us. If you have not heard, the University of Albany was on campus and we signed 33 agreements. Thanks to the hard work of the provost and the faculty. Anything you want to say about that in particular?
Yeah, they're in social sciences, humanities, communications. So Eric Hayes and Jeff Anderson really took the lead on that, and it provides really great pathways for our students in the 2-year degrees in multiple schools. So everything from emergency preparedness to the school of social welfare, there's kind of everything in between. So it's great opportunities.
Albany Law School was here this week to get to the next steps. Again, update on that, Sue, in terms of
what they're trying to do is just identify when they'll be starting here, identify a space on campus. So Jeff Anderson's working with them on that.
We had a situation where somebody needed some legal advice through the Institute, And Jason called Albany Law up and said, we need some advice for, can't remember the issue, but it was a local business needing help, and we called them. That's what they're going to be doing, and sure enough, they helped us through a situation, so it's already up and running. Just to let you know, we keep getting recognized in publications. Some of them we don't even know, but just to let you know, NPR was here on campus last week. I love when people show us articles. There was an article in an international magazine, and the title was 5 Agricultural Schools That Produce Graduates Who Will Safeguard the Future. And there's SUNY Cobleskill of one of the 5. We have no idea how that happened, but we'll take it, right? We'll take it. Our diversity proposal I will be going to SUNY to talk to them about where we're going next. The Shared Governance Committee gave us their thinking on the position title for that, for a Chief Diversity Officer. We'll have something in place by November, and we're working through governance to figure out what that looks like. Right? Yes, we are. We're trying to be at Cobleskill style.
Our last meeting was like at 10:30 at night 2 days ago. So.
Yeah, we are serving students at midnight breakfast, so it's at the
The
only time.
a horde of people eating carbs in the dining halls.
And we're in the corner with Barb with her
hairnet on. It was surreal.
It really was. It's the only time we could get to meet. But I don't know. Bonnie will be here soon with her.
She's there.
Oh, there you are, Bonnie. Get ready. We're going to do the capital projects in a minute, okay? If you have not heard, Doc McKenzie is in St. Louis to receive Master Training of the Year, National Master Training of the Year in Canine from the Working Dogs Association of Trainers. I think it's pretty cool. So there's a little surprise for him when he gets there, but he doesn't know it. Yeah. And I don't want to say anything because we're streaming live. Enrollment, we are still trending up. We're very excited, particularly in out-of-state. The free tuition, we can talk about that if you wish. We don't know the impact yet. One of the sessions was held at SUNY Cobleskill by HESC. And the funny thing about that was what they said. I was on a phone call meeting with SUNY and the budget office of the governor's office 2 hours later, and there were at least 5 points of contradiction. So we're not sure how this is all going to play out. What we do know, where we think is going to be the heaviest lift, is how we handle scholarships. Just to give you a thumbnail about that and the detail, we can talk about if you want later. It's last dollar in for the tuition, last dollar in. Now, what was also interesting, that includes Pell and TAP. Pell, why it can be very compelling for families with who make $100,000 and up from $50,000 to $100,000. They only get $500 from Pell, right? It's a sliding scale. So the state stepping in and giving more, up to $5,500, I think it really can make a difference. The scholarship is the hardest piece that we're trying to figure out, because one group is saying scholarship for tuition only. That has to go in first. But scholarships that have to do with cost of attendance don't have to count. Now, if that's the case, and we don't know which way this is going, because now they're saying each college can figure out how they want to advise the students on this. We may be saying that all scholarships from the college will be for cost of attendance, so that we can better leverage our money. I have no idea, but then others are saying, no, the whole scholarship has to count. Kids are getting scholarships from private sector, whatever that says, we have to follow. So we're not sure actually how that's going to play out. Yes, Ann?
Wendy had said something to me last time as we were walking out about it would behoove us who have scholarships to think about taking away some of the restrictions so that they could attract.
That was before the meeting, yeah. When did you talk to her?
Oh, it was our last college council meeting, and I don't know, is that still?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because we're willing to do that, and I think that it would behoove a lot of people to understand that if it helps the college and the students, we can take away, ours is,
Yeah, well, again, it's gonna be how we define cost of attendance and our tuition. If they say throw everything in at the beginning, but what was interesting, last time we talked, I don't know if you recall, we were saying that between the private and the publics, the tuition differential is pretty high. But because the publics discount very deep, all of a sudden, we were not as competitive.
Right.
Because our scholarships are not off the charts, guess what? That may now come and be in our favor because it won't be as much because the tuition, free tuition will shoot that up. And the privates do have some things given to them by the state, which could amount to about $6,000. So that's where we are with that. Is that enough to understand what we're up against?
We're still figuring it out.
one more question. What is this going to do in terms of residencies at the college? If living in a residence
Cost of
college,
attendance, that's
yeah.
what.
Also, the
Cost of attendance means,
will include that.
I'll
Okay.
define that if
Okay.
folks don't understand what I'm saying.
No.
Cost of attendance is everything but tuition, so it's the fees. It's not, because fees are not tuition. It's if they want to live on campus. It's traveling to campus if they have to. It's books, okay, and all the other kinds of things. That's cost of attendance. A lot of scholarship funding sources know that and are very strict that it's tuition only. Some who understand the plight of students, they'll put in cost of attendance.
Okay.
So that's the difference. Some scholarships we may have a say over and some we may not. So anytime people say cost of attendance, that's what they mean. Okay.
Excuse me. I went to the meeting last Thursday, I guess it was also, and I've read quite a bit about it. I was a little disappointed that there was no concern, at least for the military. And by that I mean that you would have to, as we all know, if you, whatever number of years you get the tuition, I'm going to refer to it as free tuition for lack of a term, and you have to stay in state and work the corresponding number of years. Now, the military, I know that would not work that way because you could end up in Guatemala or Argentina or wherever in the world. But I still look at it as service to country. And then there are schools that'll probably have ROTC.
Actually, just to let you know, we talked about it on our SUNY phone call. And that came up to say, what about the military? Doesn't seem friendly. And the issue will be, it will be. They will have, they're working on it to say if you're serving here, here, or here. Not only that, if they start in New York State and get transferred out, they will still be counted.
Okay.
So that came up by several presidents, as you can imagine, particularly from maritime.
Mhm.
And the budget office was like, oh yeah, no, we get that. But the other thing that the military has, and we are a member, is the Yellow Ribbon Program. That they get a lot of support, including tuition for their children, covering books and living on campus through the Yellow Ribbon Program. So one thing we may be saying to the vets, do that one first because it's not as limiting, and see how that works for you since we acknowledge that. Excuse me. And or on top of that, would we add the Excelsior? But thank goodness it is being not just discussed, but seriously assessed.
I don't think we could overlook it.
No, and they don't want to. It's clear they're trying to make it as flexible and inclusive as they possibly can. And it will definitely help the middle class, if you will, as it keeps going up. Because, again, TAP and Pell are sliding scale, and this will stop a gap.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The other thing, just to remind everybody, as when we talked with the faculty, this does not mean we open the floodgates that free tuition means that we drop our standards and everybody comes in. If we're at full capacity with the program, we're at full capacity with the program. This does not guarantee that the students will get into their majors of their choice. That the two do not go together. So I wanted to reiterate that. Any other questions about free tuition? the jury's out. Oh, the good news is they'll let us know by July. So Barbara and I were talking too about how the implications on the budget and next steps with that. We have no idea.
Yeah, crystal ball.
Right.
Super, you know that magic 8 ball, whatever one works.
The snow globe.
No go, that'll work.
So I'd like to, we're going to talk about the budget when it gets here. So it may be a little later on, Olive, but I would like for Bonnie to give you a snapshot of the hard work that the capital crew has been, they did listening tours to find out how we may want to spend our capital budget. So I asked Bonnie to, can we get some of you around the table? I just,
This is, it's expandable, this is the wonderful thing about round tables.
I don't know which way to go.
Yeah, Shannon, or somebody has to
I'm
do it.
I'll stand, it's not a problem.
Yes, oh, I'm sorry.
I don't think I made enough copies, so if cabinet members could not take one, and then I'll get it to you.
Fanny, hold it back.
Okay, the whole capital planning process has become a very elaborate dance with fancy footwork and a lot of steps. And I think when we last met, we talked about the governor's proposed budget and that things look pretty promising for capital and for the possibility of a 5-year plan and how the money was going to be distributed. And there were, we did our best, as Marion mentioned, to get ready for it with a campus-wide listening tour to try to figure out what people thought was most important to get done. At the end of the day, the state allocated $550 million to SUNY as a whole for capital construction, and they divided it up in 3 ways. We got just shy of $2 million for this year for critical maintenance. We got $1.2 million for campus improvements, which it's the first time we've seen any money that wasn't tied strictly to critical maintenance. So this means we're able to do some new construction that we wouldn't have been able to do under the critical maintenance. And the lion's share of the money, $296 million, was allocated directly to the State University Construction Fund to give out to the campuses as grants for high priority critical maintenance projects. So part of the elaborate dance that we do is we try to get all the work done that we possibly can. We're really aggressive about getting projects designed and in the pipeline so that we can position ourselves to be eligible for grants. Because it's a confluence of right place, right time, right project. Because the construction fund has this tremendous imperative to spend money right up to their bond cap, but not above. So they're constantly trying to shoehorn in projects so they can spend up to the bond cap, and we try to be the campus that's there, that's ready, and can get that money. And we've been successful this year. We have 2 projects. We'll be starting this summer, 2 electrical infrastructure projects. They're on here, and they total together more than $4.5 million in grant money. So it's wonderful that in a year, it's actually last year's money that we got less than $2 million. We got $4.5 million on top of that in grants. So what you have here that you can view at your leisure, I won't go over it unless you want to, is the first 2 pages, 2.5 pages, are lists of all the projects that we expect to accomplish in 2017-18. We just keep piling them on until our fabulous facilities folks say, stop, enough, we can't do anymore. And you'll notice a bunch of them are beginning designs, and that's prepares for the future. We only have money for 1 year, but we're also anticipating that we'll have a similar allocation for the next 4 years. So what you see in the possible projects for 2018 to 2022 are all of these projects that we've begun design on this year. We're now hoping to do construction on as well as, things which are necessary for fermentation. And we try to leave room in the schedule and the budget because we know that things pop up both in terms of just plain facilities needs, in terms of growing academic programs, new academic programs. So the out years are intentionally vague.
Let me give an example too of how complicated this is, and also how creative this community is. So you see twice on there fermentation. What has to happen, for example, is the Wheeler lab for microbiology has to be up and running a little bit earlier than the actual lab for brewing. However, there is a very exciting project that I can't go into much detail that is happening with the college and the village that may have a major positive impact on the fermentation lab. So what we're trying to do is to say, okay, what do you need to get up and running and portable? Because if that's plan A, do we stay on campus or do we do plan B, which gets us somewhere downtown? And how do you play that out? Because to be at plan B is a better place to be, but it's going to take us a little longer to get there. So can we build, not the microbiology lab, but the brewery lab on campus as a portable lab that if it moves, we can move it. But everything has to happen by a certain date. So what we're trying to do is get out of the practice where faculty do their good work, put in programs, and the facility plan never happens. So this was after a meeting with the fermentation folks, faculty, science faculty, a week and a half ago. So every project like that Bonnie has on here, when she says vague and possible, because we're trying to use moving pieces. We think in particular with fermentation, there's maybe money for an economic redevelopment grant. That's why. So as you can imagine, I just wanted to make sure people understood that, Bonnie, because there's a lot of moving pieces.
There sure are.
Can you explain Five Guys?
Sure. This is a CAS initiative, and in the lower part of Champlin, they've put in an eatery, or it's almost done, it's beautiful. That'll be like a Five Guys burger concept. Design your own burger.
Okay. But not Five Guys.
But not Five Guys,
Right.
not the actual franchise.
Four Guys.
Right.
Right.
That's what you have?
Yeah, it's
Kobe guys.
Kobe guys.
Yeah.
So we thought you would like to see what the future is going to be holding for us and next steps. We try to think big, and we have a very, very good relationship with the construction fund because of Bonnie and her staff. So
We try to take good care of them because they certainly take good care of us.
Any other questions for? And more to come on this.
If you have any questions as you get a chance to look it over, feel free to ask.
And just know that what we do as we're moving forward is we use our facilities committee for recommendations. They're involved at this level, and as we move forward, if there's any kind of changes we're thinking about, we get their advice as we're moving forward. So the governance piece, it gets messy and it sometimes takes longer, but it's critical. So just to let you know, using the good thinking of this community, I think is an excellent use of resources, speaking of that. Update on the middle states. Sue, you want to give a...
Yeah, we're just in the final review, kind of rewriting phase. And there's the periodic review report, but there's also a compliance report. So I'm working on both of those right now. And we had 2 forums on the campus. Sent out a survey asking for feedback, got a total of 3 comments.
It's a tough time of year.
That's been going on for a while. But it's been out there for feedback, so I think it's been generally received okay.
Maybe it's awesome. We only need 3 comments.
It's a good story. I think Middle States will be pleased with the heavy lift that's been going on. And the good news, though, remember, it's a 5-year report of a 10-year cycle. So it's not that everything that they said in recommendations have to be done. where are we? And in some cases, we're 3/4 done, even though we're only halfway through. So that's what we try to remind folks. It doesn't have to be perfectly done. Again, then, Olive, I'd like to hold off on the budget update. And then you all received the proposed vision mission statements. Barb and I have had a long talk about what will happen next. And mainly we're asking the faculty for their endorsement. I don't know, is that part of your report, Barb?
Well, if you were gonna do it, I was gonna do it. So, rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay.
All right.
I'll leave that to you then when you give your report, because again, it's, how do we move shared governance forward? The thing that I find, if every year, actually it's the end of the year, end of my second year. If somebody asked me, what do you think was the most important this year? What was most important this year is to keep shared governance alive and well. And it'd be interesting to think about this, Barb, because the one thing that Barb and I have been doing, and I've enjoyed her leadership tremendously in what she's been doing on behalf of the college and the faculty, because we're putting things up front and we're trying to get input at the beginning and changing how we do business. The goal isn't transparency for me, that's the outcome. The goal is to utilize our decision-making structure well. Transparency becomes one of the byproducts. But one thing we talk about is because we're getting it out front earlier, we're not sure how the governance piece moves forward to say, we're not quite ready for the full vote. Here's some information for you and your advice. I think that's been the most compelling, for me, conversations we've been having. How do we steer together the decision-making process when we're doing things differently? So if somebody asked me what was most important this year, I would say the decision-making structure. So I don't know what Bob thinks about that. That's up to you.
If you don't mind, I'll just add 20 seconds to that. Coming out of a classroom where things are not always tied up nicely with a bow, right? Not always. We try, but sometimes things get away. I think one of the issues with shared governance, which we're not at conflict with ourselves or with each other, but you're always trying to anticipate it, is where's the messiness going to come in? Where are the kind of devil in the details that we can't anticipate? And so I think I spend a lot of my time thinking about not just juggling the stuff that's in front of us, but getting out ahead of whatever the next issue is to make sure that it's manageable as we move forward. So I think that is a fair assessment of how shared governance evolves.
And I think it's being played out in the strategic plan with the mission statements that we're going to be asking the faculty to endorse. Not necessarily approve, but we need good insight and thinking to get to the next level of literally writing the objectives of the plan. So we're trying something at the faculty meeting saying, here it is. Are we off base at all? Does everything look okay? And if the answer is yes, then we know how to do our work this summer. So that's a good example of that, and I don't think it could go any other way. So that concludes the report until I'd like when Wendy gets here to talk more about the budget. Update on campus college events is that commencement is right around the corner.
And it looks like it's going to rain. Please don't make us stay inside. I want to go outside.
Well, Phil said that commencement was out in the snow once.
It was great. We still talk about it. Remember that?
Obviously.
We're not forgotten getting
When the students complain about it being hot, right. Graduation, my jam. Yes, so.
I'd rather have the snow than the rain.
I'd rather be in the snow than the hot even.
Yeah.
You baking those things.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, faculty, governance, Barb.
Thank you, Olive. Good morning. It's finals week, so I apologize if I'm less energetic than normal. I do not have a written report for you because most of what we're doing is the stuff that we talked about in our last report, but I would just like to give you some updates. So we have a faculty meeting that's next Wednesday. It's a week from today. At that faculty meeting, our technology committee will be proposing 2 budgets, one for our projected enrollments, which seem to be really much on target, if not a little bit better, and then one for kind of a worst day scenario. as far as how we can feed the student technology needs on campus. And that will mainly be to inform the faculty that these are our most critical priorities, and that if we have a budget adjustment downward, that we won't just cut everything by 10%, which is kind of what I call the coward's way of budgeting. Rather, you have critical things that need to be accomplished, and then others are gravy or cherries on top, whatever you want to call it. And so that the critical maintenance pieces, the critical pieces will still stay intact, and we'll roll back the others. So that's Technology Committee. Last time I was here, I talked a little bit about minors, how we had approved minors. And Curriculum Committee has had to hold extra sessions from the flood of minors that have come forward from faculty. So in my own area, we have put together 5 minors out of my department in the last 4 weeks. So
Did they go away? We had minors.
we didn't have a policy. It wasn't in the handbook. Right. It really wasn't. So the minors that we had in the past, and what Curriculum Committee, along with the department chairs, have done is to make sure that the policy that we've passed, that all the old minors have gone through that revision, or have gone through that, and we've kind of checked the boxes to make sure it meets all of our existing policy. And if not, there's been a slight adjustment.
Okay.
And Sue's
I just remember
office will be flooded with that.
Right, we had them, and
But they
they went through the curriculum committee.
Right, but there wasn't a policy for them, so now they're in there.
Okay.
That's okay.
I may be policy short, but we had minors. Okay, I just got confused.
That's right. On that same idea, after much discussion and deliberation, but in a relatively short time, our Academic Policies Committee was able to put forward a policy that we would like to add on micro-credentials and badges. So we've talked a little bit about this here, that it wouldn't necessarily be in a discipline slot, but rather it could be skills or competencies that cross a wide variety of classes, that you could accumulate these. And then if you were to meet certain standards in these only credit-bearing entities, that you could end up with a badge or micro-credential. So that will go for a vote to the faculty in a week. So Academic Policies has passed it, Executive Committee has passed it, and now badges go forward. If that happens, and I don't want to jinx it by saying that it will, but I think it will, I think we'll be the first SUNY to have a policy on badges and micro-credentials. So talk about moving together collaboratively. We've kind of outpaced the rest of SUNY. So they're behind us again. So that's what happened on applied learning, and that's what's happening with badges. So our online learning task force and the curriculum committee have been working together to coordinate the findings of the task force and the workings of the curriculum committee, so that what we want to do and what we are doing is exactly the same thing. I know, my list. I am working to get a policy together so that the faculty can have virtual voting. So for certain events then this hasn't been fully vetted yet, so the discussion is ongoing, but and there'll be more at the faculty meeting. But e-voting is pretty much the standard of faculty these days. And so we want to maintain security so that no one is able to vote more than once, kind of just like any other election. And also anonymity from any kind of repercussion. There's always the fear that the big, dark president or provost might look to the vote as a way to determine whether someone needs tenure or not tenure. So I don't want to make light of it, because you don't want to intimidate a voter by having repercussions for their vote. So that e-voting piece, I've used my colleagues around SUNY to really find out what systems work best, where have been their roadblocks, again, trying to project forward, see where our problems are going to be, and anticipate those along the way. And then some of the end-of-year cleanup, we'll have end-of-year reports that I'll share with Olive so that she can share them with the College Council for each of our committees. And then we're also trying to keep tabs of who's going off committee, and then finding the vacancies that exist, and then have nominations for those for those empty spots for the upcoming year. So we have over a dozen changeovers where either we have faculty who've reached their term limit, or they're at the end of a session and then they can renew if they put their name in the hat, and we have some vacancies from sabbaticals or people who are just going off, so.
Two things I'd like to add. First of all, Barb is heading to New York City on Wednesday.
I swear to you all, I'll have a haircut by then. I just haven't had time. All the women are laughing because you understand. When you hear what I'm doing, you'll understand my concern. This is my primary concern, is getting my hair done between now and next week.
Your hair looks wonderful.
It's crazy, Anne. My hair is crazy.
She and Professor Neil Law and our student Jason, who's been doing all this good work on the Mohawk for Riverkeeper, the major event gala is in New York City, and the three of them have been invited to attend as their guests at $1,500 a ticket. They will be honored there, as Barb says, as one of the geeks.
I will be a geek at a table.
Then don't wear a haircut. Are you
Einstein look.
It's a very
In a cocktail dress, which I still have to buy.
I think it's just extraordinary, and I just wanted to make sure the council knew that, to applaud three of our researchers and their work. And of course, Leonardo DiCaprio will be there.
Leo
and
DiCaprio will be there. Alec Baldwin will be there. Eddie Cohen
Now
will
we
be
know
there.
one.
She's at Chelsea Pier.
I'm at
Chelsea Pier. We will be, actually, the Purcells, Pat and I, and Duran and his wife, and our honored student will be at an EOP dinner gala at the Rainbow Room at the Rockefeller Center. So we're both
Midtown and even the West Side.
The good news is, we did not know this, it finally came through, that one of our EOP graduates is going to be one of the honorees at the EOP gala. This is the first gala for their Impact Foundation from SUNY. So I just wanted to applaud Barb and Professor
Thanks.
Law and Jason. The other piece with the micro-credentials, as I said, I was at the REDC meeting yesterday. The whole thing, is what next steps for money is workforce development. And they want to turn to the education institutions to say, what are we doing, how are we doing that? And what the faculty are doing, because I know it hasn't passed yet, is exemplary. That once again, we are relevant and cutting edge on what we need to do for this region, but with obviously the integrity that we expect from the curriculum from the college.
Thanks.
Wendy's,
Thank you.
Wendy's here. Olive is okay if she
Sure.
does her.
Can I finish? Do my thing?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got one more. Oh, you look, I got one more.
Got one more.
Just the strategic plan. No big
No
deal.
big deal. Nothing.
So, Fiscal Affairs and Strategic Planning Committee, working with Wendy's, this is going to dovetail really well with your budget report, to do a series of campus fora with all budget holders, so that budget holders not only made a request for the budget, but they came there and advocated for why they needed that much money or that little money. My feedback from Sophie Winter, Professor Sophie Winter, who is the chair of the committee, was that the asks were very reasonable. That they were more modest than she anticipated, and that everyone seemed to put their genuine best number forward. It was not a free-for-all on paper. After that process, the FAST committee members would go to their own respective areas, and then they put together ratings or percentages or numbers as to how much they thought each budget holder required, I won't say wanted, required, keeping in mind our overall fiscal health as best as they could. And then those recommendations are being compiled, and they will be part of the budget process over the summer and into the fall. So that's my feed to you. As far as strategic plan goes, we are working well, are we not, Tim? Yes, Eric, we're working. We now have 5 strategies. Each of us is on at least one of the strategy teams, and we're transitioning from that kind of preparation phase and information gathering phase to now it's time to do something. So our consultant, Bonnie Boyce, says that this is our most dangerous time where things can go astray. So we're being very tentative and making sure that we don't kind of bulldoze one way or the other. We want to remain inclusive. We want to still remember to listen to what all have to say. Be able to process the information and then turn that into a working plan. And that process continues to go on and will do so over the summer, from what my understanding is. Is that correct, guys? That was the news we got last time. So the strategic plan, as Marion alluded to, in its vision, mission, values, and also its process to date, and also where we plan to go over the summer, we will ask for an endorsement from the faculty with a straw vote on Wednesday. So now,
A lot of work.
that it is not all my work. I have to say, there's hundreds of people behind me when I sit at this table. So please realize that I am a voice of the faculty, and I'm only one person, but there are hundreds of people behind me doing really wonderful work, and I wish I could introduce you to some of them sometime. It would be great for you to meet them, and so that you can put a face to the project. Okay?
Thank you very much. Okay.
I apologize for my tardiness this morning, and I'll just stand so everybody can see me. Sorry, I shouldn't talk to your back too much. It's been a pleasure working with the FAST committee on the budget. It's a new process this year. Sue and her team came and did some presentations, and Bonnie, all the vice presidents came, or most of the vice presidents came. And as you said, the requests are not outrageous. Of course, the issue is going to be we have to balance within the resources we have available. So we'll be working on that process next. One of the things that we are trying to think through very carefully, and President Trenzier, did you speak about the Excelsior Scholarship, the presentation we had? So I won't repeat that, but working through how much revenue are we going to generate. There might be a tuition increase. We don't know yet what the Board of Trustees is going to do. I suspect they will approve an increase. But what does that mean for the students that will be getting the scholarship? So it's going to be a challenging year just to figure out how much money we're going to have to spend. So that's going on. That's really all I wanted to say about the budget. I mean, it's a new process. Everybody's been, I don't want to say enthusiastic, because I'm the only one who really gets enthusiastic about the budget, but I think participating and taking it very seriously, and it's been a learning opportunity for the faculty as well, as they hear what other areas are doing. And I even had one faculty member turn to me and ask about a line item. She said, "We pay for the UPD?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "The state doesn't pay for that?" I said, "No, that's out of our budget." So even that kind of learning is going on as well.
We have to also be careful of the bottom line with the reserves. I watch that like a hawk to make sure that we stay within the parameters, and I know that's part of the budget process, is those reserves are in place.
So if there's not any questions.
Any questions?
Thank you, Wendy.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Sarah. There you are.
Happy finals week, Sarah.
I had my last final yesterday. But so for SGA, we currently have 49 clubs chartered through SGA, including 2 that just moved into active club status, including Biotech Club, which moved from an interest group into a club, and Student Horsemen, which moved from inactive back to active. So we're glad that we're continuously adding on to our roster and covering students' interests. For SGA happenings, our membership recruitment efforts, we increased our membership by 6 this semester, which is great because we have 6 graduating, so we kind of replaced ourselves, so our membership's up to 15 active members. We had elections in April, and our president for next year will be Kyle Mate. Vice President Roy Garrett, Treasurer is remaining Josh Faust, Secretary Angelica Armland-Sorian, and our public relations position is vacant. And we'll hold a special election in the fall for whoever is interested in that. That'll be an internal election instead of a campus-wide election like this one was. We also had our SGA retreat at Saratoga to celebrate ending of the year and our final meeting, which was last Tuesday, and then our emergency meeting, which was on Friday right before the retreat to discuss our budget. We've been training new officers to make sure that they're prepared to step into their position. They know what they're getting into and have all their resources. And we've been setting our schedule for next year, so hopefully we'll be getting on all the appropriate calendars and having spaces reserved so we're prepared for that. Current issues being discussed at SGA is our own budget, which we just finished that process. The budget was passed on Friday. We kind of did a low budget just in case, and then once we get official enrollment numbers, we'll reallocate any additional funds back to clubs. We just wanted to make sure that we weren't taking money away from clubs that we didn't have, so we always kind of do it low. But that process went really well. Josh Faust was great. He dedicated a lot of hours into the budget, and so did our finance committee and officers. So I'm really proud of where that went. It just has to go up through Ann and Dr. Tenzio now to be fully approved. And then attached to the report is our draft of our Students' Bill of Rights that we've kind of been working on for the past year now. SGA with Epsilon Phi Tau have created this draft document. It is in no way, shape, or form final. We still have to, next year the officers are going to pick it up and make sure they're going to hall councils, commuter students, veterans, club council, and all those kind of student entities. And then also meeting with Dr. Trenzio and Ann and Residential Life and CAS, just to make sure everything we have in here is in fact correct, not overstepping our bounds. But these are just kind of the key points that both clubs felt were important and students needed to be aware of. So for that, that's my report. And Kyle wanted to be here today, but he had a final, so he couldn't attend.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think it would be
questions?
helpful at all to discuss your Student Bill of Rights with faculty? Do you think that that would be at all helpful in the
Definitely.
fall? So please include us in the group. We'd be glad to talk about it.
We love to talk.
We have to figure out how to help endorse it again. Here we go.
Mhm.
You know, what's the best way for this to be received?
We might have an e-vote by then.
I also would like to be on record that Sarah has been an exceptional president, student leader. Every time we were at meetings together with Pizza with the Presidents, she had a very good handle on every issue that came forward. She knew almost what was going to come forward to help figure out next steps with students, how to talk to the administration, how to bring things forward. Every time I've seen Sarah in action, she's taken care of something, somebody, some issue. Actually with a smile, very insightful young woman. I think she was the right person to help get the Bill of Rights going. It started with Clara. Sarah took it on, and this is a critical piece for students. I think we talk about, right, Sarah, the idea of being advocates for themselves. And I tease and I say, you have to be an advocate against me, if you will, and how to train for that. That's what we do. So, you know, watching and reading the Bill of Rights, first of all, it is extremely well written. I think the issues that students are bringing forward are pretty serious. This is a serious student body. I am very impressed with it. And when we get leaders like Sarah, I know Kyle will follow in her footsteps. These students, you know, in terms of, it's not frivolous, let me put it that way. They take their education here very seriously. So hats off to you, congratulations, and thank you for a year of exceptional leadership.
Okay. Tim, you are up next.
Good morning, thank you. My lovely assistant passed out. Assistant, I like that. We're getting out brochures for our golf tournament that'll be coming up. So if anybody's willing to want to kind of check today, they're welcome to TK credit cards. That is coming along nicely. Let's see what else we have on here. So Miriam's also, did you hand out the endowments also?
Yes.
Everybody's got a copy of that. Our endowments are up, so we're excited about that. Sponsorships doing well right now too. We've redone them all and have gone through them all and did a new brochure this year, so it looks fantastic and people are receiving it very well. The exciting thing is one of the owner of Hazlitt Vineyard is a SUNY Cobleskill alumni and will be developing a special label for one of the wines for the golf tournament, so we're really excited about that. Yeah. I think what else has been going on?
Tim,
Yes.
the work we're doing in terms of the foundation supporting faculty-led trips And how we're gonna tie that to
Yes.
a diversity initiative in the immersion program, so that,
It'll be interesting.
and we're gonna put a template together for the foundation,
Okay,
you know, the back.
so, that's going on. We just recently had a meeting for the culinary extravaganza. So all of our chefs are lined up. The batch freezer will be up and running, and we'll be getting out this year ice cream in a little SUNY Cobleskill cup instead of the wine glasses. This year, there'll be a little dish that's the SUNY Cobleskill on there, so we'll get some ice cream that we'll have the students working on also. I encourage everyone to give. Our foundation board is, I think, has 2 people yet I have to shake down, but I will be at 100% giving, and we're excited about that.
Right.
Hopefully this board will be at 100%, so I can also crow about that. That is it in a nutshell. Unless any of you guys have any questions, I can help you out with.
I can't golf. It's
That's
impossible.
okay, we'll take money.
So I'm gonna give you money. Right here. What I'd like to do is if there's a student from the golf team or from SGA who'd like to participate,
Oh.
we shouldn't have to throw in the money.
Super.
Can this money go towards
Absolutely.
them? Okay.
Absolutely, especially if it's a student.
It's very generous.
We've even had somebody pay to play with Marion.
Oh, pay to play. That's usually not legal in New York. Or
It's raising money for scholarships it is. But somebody's even going to play with Marion, and I hear you're quite good.
Terrible.
Oh, okay.
They always, that's
They gave a
a
nice-
good way.
A nice check to say, can we play with Marion? I said, absolutely, we'll sell her.
But Barbara, many of us don't play anything that's called golf. So if you would like to go out,
oh my
you
gosh,
could
it
go on
took
a
5
team.
hours to do
Hey.
this.
No, no.
Kicking my ball in the cup.
No. You can't be embarrassed by such things, and you wouldn't be with me. I've been out a lot of times, and I'm
We'll go
still
last.
horrible.
But
But I'm
Yes, there's one good player on your team.
Yes,
That's all.
we did that a few years ago.
You have a
And
ringer?
managed because I'm the really low, high, one, and then we got somebody with.
So I need to get my hair done, and then if I between the middle of June, and I gotta do it.
Well, we're starting the tournament earlier this year too, so
I gotta.
it won't be dark by the time we finish.
You got a hairnet.
Get John.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You go ahead and have your hair done, Barbara.
It'll be beautiful, of course. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Okay. We have a written report here from Matt Barney for the alumni.
I said I would just give the report. Just Mark Finney is not doing very. He's been hospitalized again, so he's a trooper. Though he's hopefully they'll figure out what's going on. So just as you can see, the students have been busy with collecting scholarships and fundraising for the college. The time capsule was buried last week, and Jen Rogowski was there as a member of the Alumni Association. And they're keeping moving forward. We also have a plan of how we're going to include the alum in our county fair and our state fair, and Sue is a part of that. Who else is on it? And Lois. So they're doing the good work of getting that all lined up. Alumni have been involved. Yeah, who else is with that? Wendy. They've been involved in everything as much as they possibly can, rallying around Mark and the college.
Okay. Okay, I have a very short report this month. I did attend the Global Trends Report along with Eric and Linda, and that was certainly well worth our time.
So was that one too.
I thought it was a wonderful, speakers were tremendous, and this covered part of their report. Their report came out to all of you, and 264 pages long, I think. But anyway, they summarized some of that, and certainly it was inspiring, and I thought we had a good turnout of the community.
We did.
And anyone else want to speak on it?
I'm not sure inspiring is the best word. It's frightening, actually. Some of the projections.
Oh, yes.
They are in contact with me. I've had 3 emails from them. We're going to be doing a case study for them and seeing how it plays out. So just to let you know, more to come on that.
Okay. I sent out an advisory, a notice of advisory committee meetings for ag business and culinary programs. That was held on May 1st. I wasn't able to attend. I'm not sure if anyone.
Yes.
You did, and Barb, did you attend the same meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to keep Anne under control.
Oh, okay, thank you. Any comments or anything you want to report?
I think it was a good meeting, yeah. My only concern was so few advisory committee members, but I thought it was a small number on the advisory committee, but I thought what this happened was
Okay.
good.
I think they needed to look to the community a little more they were talking about hospitality, things that you're supposedly learn in kindergarten that they're trying to get across to the students. So, and not to be shy about talking out, even though you might be a shy person, you still have to talk to your customers or whatever. And, it's, I think they needed, I thought John Sagendorf would have been a person that they should have contacted for that committee, rather than myself. I don't know how much I had to add to that, but I think somebody like that, who has that great experience of running a business, a tourism business, and having that background, hotel, everything, I think that would have been, people like that should have been part of that community. And I did have they had dinner afterward, and I did talk to the 4 students that won the meat cutting. Very interesting, all 4 of them, and what their plans are. Dreaming. Is it going to come to a reality, and what's your backup going to be if you don't own that restaurant? That kind of thing. I think that was important.
And I have to say, I did have some very real concerns when they were going to be talking about embedding basic skills rather than having them necessarily take the liberal arts courses, embedding communications and math, just in that, because the fear is twofold. One is, I think, when you do that, they get everything in terms of just their major. And we don't know what students are. People change jobs, I think on the average now, like 14 times in their lifetime. And it's only going to be worse than they need to be. So my concern would be faculty governance, and I think it has to be a larger discussion than just a departmental decision to change the major from that. And so that was my concern.
I think we have a pretty strong curriculum committee, and I think that concern would be echoed.
No,
I need to bring it to
yeah,
curriculum.
it's just, I certainly embrace the idea of the practical education and giving people, but if they do it too narrowly, it has concerns for their lifetime. I would say, we have to think of the student 20 years after graduation, not just 1 or 2. So that was mine.
The one student wants to own a restaurant. The one student wants to work on a cruise ship. One student really surprised me. She has family in South Korea. She's been over there a couple of times, and she's going back there to work and start a restaurant there, a different type of restaurant there, which I thought was quite different from anything else. And then one who I thought was probably had the best idea. He's going to Spain to study business, and that's going to be, I think, a better And when the young man that wants to start the restaurant, I said, and you know how fast they close down? And he had the numbers exactly of, new ownerships, and they don't last long.
Okay, thank you. The time capsule, as Marion said, was buried on May the 3rd up on the old quad. I didn't go up for that either. I didn't want to hike.
Your cold would have been a lot worse had you been up there. It was very windy.
Oh, yes. So, I don't know if any of you got up or not, but Sarah?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And then the memorial service for the business student was that day also, later in the day. So it was a busy day here on campus. It was, so other than attending the global trends, I did meet with Marion to set the agenda for the day, but that was my input into this month. Okay. Old business. We went over the committees last month, as you may recall, and some of the names didn't quite seem to fit the committee, maybe. So we thought we would bring it back and sort of discuss the name of the committees and see if there was any change that anyone would suggest or thought might better reflect what the committee was about. I think some of them are pretty straightforward. Anyone have any comments on any of them? Well, let's start at the top. Advancement Office Committee, I think that's pretty straightforward. And so, Performance Improvement Plan Committee.
And we're waiting to hear from SUNY, so hopefully that committee will get going.
Has that committee met? Because I have
No,
not heard
we're
anything
waiting
about it.
we're waiting to hear from SUNY for next steps. Okay, and that's gonna lead also into my evaluation.
Okay. I may have money for the golf.
So more to come on that.
Okay, Enrollment Executive Committee. Does that cover
Sue, is that
what
the
they're doing?
best name for that, or?
Why would it be executive?
Because
Yeah,
we were
just
doing
enrollment.
we were doing that executive level work with the enrollment folks. I wonder why don't we say enrollment management, and then,
I think that better explains what it is.
right, and then Tara will work with you the way Lois has started working with Olive and Susan.
Okay. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. I think that gets it all in there.
And
I'm ready to work whenever somebody.
I think we're gonna be about ready. Don't you think, Barb?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the Budget Committee, that's pretty straightforward.
So again, bringing folks in before next steps of what you guys do with the process would be a good idea.
And then the Great Work of College for,
That report will come out July, Bonnie?
Yes, early July.
Right.
is that a good name for it? HR/HR?
It's the Great Colleges to Work For survey, so it's the results
Okay.
from that.
HR will take the lead on that. And the reason why, and Bonnie, tell me, because you're the one that will be the VP point person, that we're trying to be more proactive with HR and doing next steps in terms of how to elevate the community and the practices and just celebrating us rather than always being in triage mode.
That's our sincere hope, is we can get past crisis management and move to more proactive things that actually help develop the people of our campus.
So we thought the survey would be a good jumping off point, or actually starting point for the council. Does that make sense, Bonnie?
Yeah, yes.
So if you want point people by these, obviously Lois would be advancement. The performance improvement plan would be me right now. Actually with Sue, I'm gonna ask you to help me with that one since it's a biggie. Enrollment management, obviously Tara. The diversity, equity, inclusion, right now, me as a point person until we figure out next steps with that. Wendy would be the budget. Actually, the Diversity Inclusion Committee, Amy, I'm gonna have you take the lead on that, okay?
Mhm.
And then the Great Colleges to Work For will be Bonnie. So then, those will be the point people.
Okay. All right, and then we talked on to new business. We talked last month about the possibility of a council member being on the Institute Board of Directors. And
Did I miss it? Which institute are we talking
For Rural
about?
Vitality.
Oh, Rural Vitality.
We are in the process of figuring out how to best incorporate the Institute. We've had one meeting with Penny Plowman, because there's many ways we can go. We're trying to figure out what's the best way to protect the Institute as well as the college, as well as getting the proper funding into the proper appropriate centers. So this is a good time to discuss the role of a council member on that. I will be the CEO, and we're trying to figure out do we separate it from the college? Is it a part of it? That conversation's happening right now. I think it's a great idea to have a council member on that board. There's a lot going to happen. It's going to be a major interface with the community. It already has been. It's already proven its worth in many ways. So I'm looking at Wendy and Bonnie too. And Sue, that would make sense.
Oh, certainly,
I think
have
so,
somebody
right?
from the council part of it,
Right,
of course.
right. So we don't know yet. We're waiting. We're going to have Penny Plowman give us her best advice on this. So as that's moving forward, if you want to identify that person now, that's fine, and then we'll incorporate that person, because obviously faculty will be on it and staff.
maybe we need to know a little more about
What it's going to entail.
what it's
Yeah.
going to entail.
It's not going to entail much. It's going to be, but we can talk more about that. 1 or 2 meetings a semester the most, because it's a well-oiled machine. Jason Evans is the executive director. There will be faculty input all over the place with the centers, and they're in charge. So it's mainly watching the fiduciary piece of it, as well as the direction we're going. We could take care of that probably
In
next
September.
Yeah.
Okay. Back on the agenda. Okay, and the last item I have on the agenda is to determine the dates and time for the council meetings next year, number, that kind of thing, so we can put together a schedule of meetings for next year, and people can get them on the counters. Everyone's been going with the second Wednesday of the month, and I don't know if you want to continue that, or if you burning need to change it, or does it work for everyone?
It does.
Kyle just has class at 10.
I'm sorry?
Perfect.
Kyle's class at 10 on Wednesday, so.
That's
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
I do not have class in the morning on
That's
Wednesdays.
even better. All right.
I hoped you would keep it the same,
Mhm.
so.
Okay, so we'll keep it on the second Wednesday of the month.
3 years.
And do we want to continue the 6 meetings? They seem to have worked well for us.
It's easier to cancel rather than, but I think I found them very helpful.
We're obligated for 4, but we can have as many as we like. And as Marion said, it's easy to cancel. But if you have them on the agenda or on your calendar, then it's not so hard to.
If the committees get up and ramped up the way we hope within the next 6 months, maybe it might mean taking a meeting away, because you're going to be so involved that way. But right now, until I think the structure gets going, it might be more important to keep this.
Okay?
So which 6? I'm new to this.
which 6?
What do we do?
Well, we've been going, September, October, and November, and then taking December, January off, meeting in February, and taking March off, and going then the other 2.
So February's meeting will be on Valentine's.
Hey, there you go.
We can exchange Valentine cards.
I was just looking at my calendar.
Okay, I'll get the meeting scheduled together and get it out to you as soon as possible.
I'd like to make one possible, very easy suggestion. I don't know who's involved with putting the list together of the council members. I noticed that you have the spouse, where they may work or not work, telephone number, but no email address.
Ah.
And I would welcome the email address more than the phone number.
Yeah.
Frankly.
That's a good catch, yeah.
Okay, Amy and Irene.
Thank you. I think it's smart.
And I can make a suggestion too, that the more dates you can give us of functions and events on campus that we can be at,
Right.
as in advance as possible.
What we're doing, and maybe
Would
this
be
will
helpful.
be good for you guys, is we've started doing that for the cabinet because there was a lot that happened that we weren't even aware of. And we're actually working how to consolidate that. So I think whatever one we're using, maybe we can just slip it to you guys.
Because I'd like to, I'd like to
Yeah.
attend as many
Sure.
things as I can.
All right.
I tried to put on as many as I know about on with the meeting agenda. So when I meet, I'll meet with Marion again and we'll put as many as we
I
can
like that.
find.
Yeah, we can do that.
And also, would you like to keep moving around the campus like we've done this year?
Very much so.
There'll be some other things that'll be available.
The new retail store, down at the dairy processing center, maybe the micro lab. Before
I don't know if we can let have coffee. There'll be no food or drink in the micro lab.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. All right. So we'll do a little brainstorm. If you have some ideas, would you get them to me right away? And where you'd like to meet, instead of here, or we can meet here and then go through another facility. If you have something you'd like to see, please get your thoughts to me right away. And I'd like to get it together by June, so you can have it on your calendars and you know where you're going. Okay.
Well, speaking of the biggest event happening in a couple days, again, our honorary degree recipients are Dr. Judith St. Ledger, an alum, pathologist for SeaWorld, whose mother just passed away. We just found out. So we think she's still coming. I don't know if that's not yet for public knowledge, but just, it is now. But I'm sure that. And then former Congressman Chris Gibson. Both of them have agreed, if we go to 2 ceremonies, that they will speak at both.
Wow.
Good. Yeah, we're gonna hood them in the first one, and then they'll just come with their hood on for the second. And also, we will then do the Chancellor's Awards in the second one, because they're all in the, right, Sue? They're all in the School of Business and Liberal Arts Sciences. So putting one Chancellor's in the second, and Peter Neffer, trustee, will be at the ceremonies, and I'm very excited that he asked to come. So he is the outgoing Senate chair for all of SUNY Faculty Senate. He's a tremendous supporter of the college, a good friend, and I'm honored that he chose to come to us. So I don't know, we don't know yet if he can be at both. He probably can't, because he's got a previous engagement, so we'll see.
Does the breakfast change if we do both? Because isn't one of the ceremonies earlier than the other?
Still at 9.
We just eat and run? We eat, gown and run?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's right next door, so it's not, you're running
All
back.
right. Just don't have to eat in our gowns.
No.
That'd be a job.
So 10 and 1:30 as a time?
Yep.
Yes. But we're gonna go for the outside.
So,
Decided today, correct?
No, it's
No?
decided, I decided that.
You said it was gonna be today.
Yeah, I
Today,
think-
Wednesday.
I think it's
Last year, we waited.
Did we?
We waited
Maybe
last
wait one
year.
more day, I don't know.
I
Depends
think-
on setup.
Facilities is the big issue. They have to.
Well, we set up in 2 areas on purpose. Well,
Good.
we'll talk about it.
There's 90% chance.
You've
of
got
rain
stuff done right
supposedly.
Oh, bummer.
What time?
All right.
It's supposed to rain
Yeah.
all day. Isn't it?
It said
What-
it could be potentially.
But
heavy,
90%.
so I don't know.
What's the percentage now? It keeps
It's
changing.
100%, but it doesn't say, it just says cloudy with rain, a potential for heavy rain. but it doesn't say if it's all day or,
Right.
you know,
Well,
2 o'clock in the afternoon.
This morning on Channel 6, they said Saturday's gonna be the pits.
Oh.
Bummer.
To hide your
Well, I guess the
53.
decision's being made right before our very eyes.
I'm gonna need some extra tea.
Yeah, well,
And it's supposed to
we
be
have no
what,
extra
51 or
tickets.
Yeah,
54?
That's right, yeah.
So what in 54 would not be?
Aw.
Oh, stop it now.
Okay,
Friday was really good.
we're having practice, and where's the practice going to be?
Gonna meet in Val.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this
Excuse
meeting.
me. I still had a few questions I wanted to ask you. I don't know the exact order in
I'll
which
make a
to
motion when
order.
it comes.
I've heard you mentioned a number of times about enrollment or admissions. Where are we right at the moment, do you think? I know it's a very fluid thing. Some come, some go. all
We
that.
are up from last year.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
It's a good sign, because
The up is good.
the up is very good. I would say overall, I know we're up at least 6 percentage points in out of state. I'm looking at Sue with this. Associates were up another at least 3% from last year, a little bit, and then the baccalaureate is up as well. So overall,
Oh, I'm sorry.
overall, I would say we're up 3%, 4%.
Does that put us at roughly at 2,300, 2,400, 2,200?
It will put us at
Best guess.
2340-ish,
We're at 2304 now.
2340-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's good enough.
Now, the good news with that does not include on purpose college and the high school, which is off the charts right now. It does not include the Rockland, am I right? Degree completion. And we've put those outside the budget because then either they can feed the reserves or, they're another story that changes. These are the full-time, first-time associates, baccalaureate degree students. Does it include, Sue, the international? It doesn't even include the international.
The matriculated international.
It will include
Not the
that.
exchange.
But not the exchange, right.
So, would you agree, Wendy, it's about 23,
Yes.
30-ish, 40-ish? So, and in some cases, we're up, particularly out of state from 2014, which was a good year. It was, one of our better years. So, this is at a time when there are many where the enrollments, particularly in community colleges, are down. We are not only holding our own, we are going in the right direction. Now, SUNY dumped into all of our application pools thousands of students who were on a list where they did not have that word
Hadn't paid
pay
their
common application.
Hadn't paid for it.
So we were originally up in applications by 3%, which is fabulous. Now we're up by 16%, and you can't trust the numbers because we got 400 SUNY students like that, but only 70 might even be eligible to come here. So all of the applications now are completely inflated. Will we get something out of it? We might, but we were trending extremely well. The other good news is, on each accepted student day, we had a bet going if we can convert all the students who came. In every case, we converted all but 2 per event. So that meant they left registered. For example, 56 came, right, and one of them that weren't registered, but 100 of them were. Of the 56, 54 registered before they left. So the students who were here, only 2 out of the entire group every time did not register. One of them we found out was between us and Cornell. Okay, it was between us and Cornell. They had 3. They were also going to Morrisville. Morrisville gave them a full scholarship and they weren't going to go. It was between us and Cornell. So when you hear why we didn't get that one, you're going, okay, all right, we get it. So
I don't.
the conversion.
I really don't. I'm not a fan of Cornell.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I know there are Cornell alums
Right.
at the table, but I'm not a fan.
So the conversion rates are off the charts. The admissions staff, the other good news is the applicant pool may have been not as, well, it was robust, but not as robust as maybe we would want. But what is happening is we are choosing students who really know what programs they want to be in, and we think the retention then will be stronger because we are aligning what they want with what we have. Sue, is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say that we're seeing some positive trends in programs that we've seen some dips in. So things like culinary, equine, are back up, which is encouraging. And animal science is off the charts. That's continuing to grow.
And biotech. Biotech is up.
My classes are all full and I have a waiting list.
My other question, and this would be, I guess I was looking for some names of people that were retiring. And the reason for that would be if we see them at graduation, we can say, as a council, congratulations on 20 years, 30 years, whatever. And I would like to do that.
Sure. Email it to everybody?
Pardon me?
We can email it to everybody, would that be good?
Yeah, to the council.
To me it is.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great suggestion.
I mean, we can approach them personally at that point.
I think it's a
Thank
great
them at
idea.
the college.
So certainly Angelica, who was here, was on what I call a fadeaway program. She had a task that it wasn't in the classroom this semester, so she is officially retiring. She's still sending me stuff in the mail as she's cleaning her office. So I think she's secretly on campus every once in a while to go through another box. So certainly if you see her, I don't know if she'll come.
Right.
But you can certainly send her an email of
And
congratulations.
then you're having the official recognition of the staff on the 18th of May.
Correct, at 11:30.
At 11:30 in Bauk. Not Bauk, Ballroom.
It starts at 11.
Oh, that, wow.
11.
See, that 11 keeps on. I thought it was 11:30.
Starts at 11. We're hightailing it back.
Yeah, we have to come back from New York.
Exactly.
With my good hair. Yeah.
Right.
No, you don't know. You'll be like, who is that younger Barbara?
Okay, any other comments?
Is that it?
That would be it.
All right, then.
Let you off easy.
Susan has made a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Who did?
Phil?
Okay.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We'll see you in September officially, but
see you
hope to
about
see you around campus.
See
in the
you, yeah,
meantime.
see you in a couple minutes.
A couple minutes.
See you in a couple minutes.
So we have